I think we all need to start paying attention to prophets and their predictions, because a while back, Odumeje gave a warning to Dangote saying that he sees his refinery on fire. He said this while ministering to his congregation. And just this morning, it was reported that the refinery was caught up in flames. Can you imagine? A refinery that cost $19 billion and was just inaugurated last year in flames just like that. We also hear that they have started producing and selling diesel. The interesting thing is that a few days ago, Dangote gave a speech through his vice president on the refinery being sabotaged because some people that have selfish interests do not want the refinery to function, which has led to a back and forth between both parties. So today we're going to be looking deep into the matter. And as you can see, I have a guest in the house with me today who is going to join me in this discussion. We have met him before, but we'd like to meet you again. Sir, please, can you introduce yourself?
Well, my name still remains Dr. Oladipo, and I am the managing editor of the Eagle Online.
It's lovely to have you.
Thank you so much. It's nice to be here too again.
And I'm your host, Amarachi. Now, before we even go into it, before I start with my questions, while this video was posted on Twitter, we had a lot of people in the comment section who also stated that it could be sabotage. They put out their opinions out there. And I would like to read a few just so that we are right on track. So we had Uncle Etim, Diaspora Daddy, say, this will be the first of many, and I hate to say it, he is running against powerful people from all over the world who hate Nigerians and have been milking it for so long. One close look at Nigeria, and if things want to change, it is clearly not through election. Another person says, please God help this man to run this refinery. He has spent a lot already, because $19 billion is not beans, so forget that he's Dangote, but it is not beans. Other people, concerned people, Abdul Salami says, this sabotage and wickedness from the same people he has been talking about, I can't believe it has reached this level, because setting it up in flames, somebody's work, I can't even imagine. So I would like to know, based on all this, feedback, reports, what the vice president of Dangote said, what is your take on this entire matter?
Well, like you said in your opening remarks, what we have had concerning this refinery in the last few hours and days actually calls for concern. And just a few days after that alarm was raised, something happened. And the spot where it happened, according to our own finding from this end, is a spot that is closest to where people have access off the expressway to that plant, meaning that it's not inside of the plant itself, but where people have access. In my own part of the country, there is something that they say, and it translates to something like this: the witch cried yesterday, the child dies today. So they say, who does not know that the witch killed the child? So, but it's all a matter of conjecture, probability, people thinking it can be. But that fight face-off has been quite interesting, if you ask me. Because looking at what the president of Dangote Industries Limited has been saying over time, that is Aliko Dangote himself, gives us an insight into the kind of battles he has been fighting to ensure that things work in our country. Don't forget that in this same Nigeria, we have 4 refineries owned by the government that have not worked. Those 4 refineries, they have staff who are working there, who are engineers, who are specialists, who are all of this, yet those refineries are not working.
But they are being paid.
Yes, of course. You know that with the Nigerian Labour Congress, you can't afford not to pay certain staff, and then except you want them to tell you that they are going on strike. So they are being paid. And then you now see somebody, an individual, who now stands up and says, yes, I want to build a refinery. And he does it. I recall the interview that he had, that's Aliko Dangote himself, where he said, because some of us didn't even know this earlier, that in Africa, in the last 35 years, no country, whether as an individual or as a government, has built a refinery in 35 years. Meaning that we've been using what we have, or like Nigeria has been doing largely, we've been exporting crude and importing finished products, which is not good for us. Which really, really, really is not good for us. Because like we've all known over time, when we take out crude, it is just crude on the surface we have taken out. Even if you give it to a refinery to refine for you in exchange for more crude, which is what we do a lot of times. We exchange crude for what we need. Even if we give it to a refinery to refine for us, they won't give us all the other things that will come with it. It's not only fuel, it's not only petrol and diesel that you get from crude. You have kerosene, you have aviation fuel, and you have a lot of other things, black oil, all of these things that our industries use, that we lose in this process of taking our crude out. So, to answer that question specifically, those who are suspecting sabotage are not wrong. Because, like I said, number one, look at the unit that got burnt. According to what Dangote itself said in a statement it issued shortly after, it said it was the effluent treatment plant, which is closest to the world by the expressway, which is easily accessible, which from where somebody can throw anything in and all the rest. So it's a possibility. And then number two is this huge fight over sabotage, already mentioned by the company. Like you rightly said, the vice president of Dangote, while addressing energy editors, made that same claim and said, see, we don't understand why we are not getting crude to refine products. But we can hazard a guess. People don't want us to succeed. When that plant was inaugurated, it took months, close to 8 months, for it to start to work. Because the crude was coming in from outside the country, in dollar. In fact, specifically from the United States, which even if you are flying by air, we know to whichever part, even if it's the closest from Lagos that you are flying, say, to New York, you need about 9 hours. So now imagine a ship bringing in crude for you. You know the number of days it will take. And then the process of discharging it and all the rest. So the vice president went and told energy editors that not just the federal government now that is not giving it crude, but even the other international oil companies that are benefiting from Nigeria's crude being taken out unrefined. Take note of that.
They wouldn't want to lose such.
They don't want that system to stop. So when Devankuma Edwin said that, it's crept into the consciousness of people that yes, if we give crude to Dangote, and Dangote can, that's the refinery now, not to the man himself, we're talking about the refinery, and Dangote can refine its crude in naira, that is, buy crude and do the refining based on naira value, that things can be cheaper. Because when it started with the diesel, despite the fact that it was bringing in crude, it was cheaper than what those who are bringing in finished products had.
But how do you even think he's sustaining that? Because from 1.8 he was selling 1.2.
Yes, he must be making profits. based on quantity now. He must be making profit because as a businessman, even if it's 1 naira he's going to make, he must be making profit based on quantity because a lot of marketers started taking diesel from him.
Yes.
And it's like we have said, no matter how you look at it, if we sell our crude to ourselves within, whether it is the government refinery or those ones owned by individuals, those products will be cheaper, and then all the other byproducts that will come from it, they will make up for if there is going to be any loss on the major products. We know that a lot of us know 4 major products from crude. We know petrol,
Diesel.
we know diesel, we know aviation fuel, and we know kerosene. Because those are the ones that affect our day-to-day life. So, but there are so many others. So you can make money from those ones and use it to, substitute for
Balance.
whatever you are losing from the other ones. So, as you know, the vice president said they needed every support that they can get. Let me quote him a bit so that we can see his grievance when he spoke. He said the federal government issued 25 licenses to build refineries, and we are the only one that delivered.
I made use of it, yes.
Dangote himself said in an interview that if he knew that there was the kind of opposition he was going to face in building that refinery, perhaps he would not have embarked on that journey. And that says a lot. If a man has invested so much, according to him, it took about a loan of about 8-point-something billion. He has paid back about 2.4 billion, leaving him with something above 5.6 billion. That's a lot of money. Meaning that apart from the loans he took, he put in a lot of his money. If indeed
11 billion.
the way Forbes rates millionaires is by the cash you have in your account, Dangote will not be on that pecking order. It's because of the assets. Because he has put in all his billions into
The refinery.
So let me quote Edwin further. That's the VP of Dangote now. He says, in effect, we deserve every support from the government. It is good to note that from the start of production, more than 3.5 billion liters, which represents 90% of our production, have been exported. Meaning that as their